May 8th. What a day. I spent the whole morning lying in the grass in front of my house, under the huge tree that shades the entire front of it. I love this place. I love living here. This is where I come from, where my roots go down. And I mean the deep roots, the stubborn ones, that hold a person to the patch of ground where their family was born and buried. The ones that tie you to the way people talk here and eat here, to the local sayings and the accent, to the food, the smell of the soil, the villages, even the air. I love my house. I grew up in it. My parents grew up in it. From my windows I can see the river running the whole length of my garden, on the other side of the road, almost through my own land, wide and slow and heavy, carrying the ships up toward town. Off to the left, there's the town itself, the blue roofs crowded together under the pack of church towers. Towers past counting, thin ones and broad ones, and over all of them the iron spire of the cathedral, and all those bells ringing out into the blue morning air, that soft, far-away iron sound the wind carries to me, louder when the breeze picks up, fainter when it dies. This morning was so beautiful. Around 11, a long line of ships came up the river, following a tug the size of a fly, coughing out its thick smoke. And behind the two English schooners came a beautiful Brazilian three-master, perfectly white, gleaming, spotless. I don't know why, but the sight of it made me so happy that I stood up and gave it a kind of salute. May 12th. I've had a low fever for a few days. I feel off, or not off, sad, down. I don't know how to say it. It's a strange thing, how a bad mood can come out of nowhere. You're fine, and then some invisible thing brushes against your nerves and the whole world turns gray. I walk through my own rooms, and something in the walls makes me want to cry. I go outside, and the second I'm out, this feeling comes over me that something bad is waiting for me back at the house. I turn around and go back, and there's nothing there. Nothing at all. May 16th. I'm sick. Definitely sick now. Last month I was fine. Now I have a fever. An awful fever. Or maybe an awful tiredness that just feels like fever. Some misery of the nerves that's turning my body and my mind against me at the same time. All day this weight of danger hanging over me. A dread. Not of anything I can name. Just a flat certainty that something is wrong. That something is coming for me. In my body or in my life. And at night, this is the worst of it. At night I can barely sleep. And when I do sleep, I wake up gasping. I dream. And the dreams are all the same shape. Something bad, something close, something bending over me. May 18th. I went to see my doctor because I couldn't sleep at all anymore. He said my pulse was fast, my eyes dilated, my nerves shot, but nothing physically wrong, nothing an illness would explain. He told me to take cold showers and drink bromide of potassium. So now I take the showers, and I drink the medicine. May 25th. Nothing's changed. My nights have become genuinely strange, genuinely frightening. The second I lie down and close my eyes, I feel it. Something comes. I feel sleep waiting for me the way you'd feel a person standing behind you in the dark, waiting to grab me the moment I go under. And I dread it. I dread my own bed. I lie there and wait, tense, straining, and the waiting itself makes it worse. Then at some point I drop. I fall into sleep the way you'd fall down a hole, deep and black and heavy. And then the dream, always the same one. I'm asleep, and I feel someone come near me. I feel them look at me, touch me, climb onto my bed, and then they kneel on my chest and take my throat in both hands and squeeze. Squeeze with everything they have, trying to strangle me. I try to fight. I can't move. Not a finger. It's the total paralysis of a nightmare. You scream and no sound comes. You thrash and nothing moves. And the whole time I can feel it. The weight of a real body on my chest. Warm. Heavy. Breathing. Its hands on my neck. And then I tear free with a huge effort, drenched in sweat, and I wake, wrecked, gasping, and there's no one at all. And I don't get back to sleep until dawn, every night, every single night now. June 2nd. My symptoms are worse. I decided I had to get out of that house, so I've gone off for a few days. The doctor said a change of air would do me good. I went west, down to the coast, to an old abbey that stands out on the sand. You have to see it to understand. You come around a bend and the whole bay opens up in front of you. Endless gray sand, running out flat to the horizon, and rising straight out of the middle of it, far off, this fantastic gray mountain, pointed, crowned with an abbey. A single enormous piece of stone lace, stabbed up into the sky. I got there at low tide, and I walked out across the sand toward it, my eyes fixed on that huge jewel of a building growing taller and taller as I came. It looked less like a thing men had built than like something that had grown up out of the sea by itself. I climbed the steep street to the top, and a monk showed me through it. The halls, the cloisters, the great arched rooms, and finally up onto the high walls, where the whole bay spreads out below you, silver and gray to the edge of the world. I said to him, because you could feel it up there, that people through the centuries must have believed this place was thick with spirits, that the old stories must have lived here. He smiled, and he said something I haven't been able to stop thinking about since. Do you think, he said, that we can see even the 100,000th part of what actually exists? Look, take the wind. The wind is the strongest force in all of nature. It flattens men. It levels buildings. It tears trees up by the roots, stirs the sea into mountains of water, smashes ships against the cliffs, kills. The wind that whistles and sighs and roars. Have you ever seen it? Can you? And yet, there it is. I said nothing, and I've thought about it every day since. There it is, and you cannot see it. July 2nd. I'm home, and I'm better. My little trip did me good. It's over. The drive back was lovely. There's a real physical pleasure in moving fast through open country with clean air on your face. I'd forgotten what it was to feel light. July 3rd. Bad night. So there's clearly something in the air here. Something local. Something in the house. Because my driver has the same sickness I had. When I got home yesterday, I noticed how pale he'd gone. How hollow. I asked him what was wrong. He said that since I'd left, he couldn't sleep. That the nights were eating him alive. That something came over him after dark and left him wrecked by morning, and he was afraid of going to bed. He didn't have words for it. I didn't tell him that I knew exactly what he meant. July 4th. It's back. It's on me again. My old nights have come home with me. Last night I felt it. Someone crouching over me, their mouth pressed to mine, drinking my life out through my lips. Yes, pulling it out of me like a leech pulls blood, pulls. And then it lifted off, heavy and full, and I woke torn open, gutted, so weak I couldn't raise my arm. I know now that if this keeps up much longer, it's going to kill me. July 5th. Am I losing my mind? What happened last night is so strange that my head spins when I try to hold on to it. Before bed, the way I always do now, I locked my door. Then I was thirsty. I drank half a glass of water, and I noticed on purpose that the carafe was full to the glass stopper. Then I slept, one of my black, terrible sleeps, and around 3 I was ripped out of it, worse than ever. Try to picture a man being killed in his sleep, who wakes with a knife already in his chest, drowning, unable to breathe, dying, and not understanding any of it. That's what waking is like for me now, every time. When I finally got my head clear, I was thirsty again. So I lit the lamp and went to the table where I'd left the carafe. I lifted it to fill my glass. Nothing came out. It was empty. Completely empty. At first I just didn't understand. Then the truth landed so hard I dropped into the chair. No, my legs went out and I fell into it. And then I jumped up and looked wildly around the room. And then I sat back down, staring at that clear, empty glass carafe, absolutely stunned. My heart was slamming. I stared at it and tried to make it make sense. My hands were shaking. Had I drunk it in my sleep? Had I walked to it, poured it, drunk it, all without waking? I must have. I must have. It's the only answer. It's the only answer that isn't insane. July 6th. I'm losing my mind. Someone drank the water in my carafe again last night. Or, I did. But was it me? Was it? Who else could it be? My God. Am I going crazy? Who is going to save me? July 10th. I've done some experiments now. Extraordinary ones. I'm going crazy. That has to be it. And yet, listen. On the evening of July 6th before bed, I set out on my table wine, milk, water, bread, and some strawberries. In the morning, someone had drunk the water and a little of the milk. Nothing else was touched. Not the wine, not the bread, not the strawberries. On July 7th, I did the same. Same result again. On July 8th, I left out only the water and the milk. In the morning, nothing was touched. So on July 9th, I put back just the water and the milk. And this time I was careful. Very careful. I wrapped both carafes in clean white cloth and tied the glass stoppers down with string. Then I rubbed my lips, my beard, my hands all over with black pencil lead until they were filthy with it. And I went to bed. I woke the way I always wake now, torn out of that crushing black sleep, heart hammering. But this time I lay still first and made myself breathe. Then I checked my hands in the lamplight. Still black. Every finger. I checked the sheets. Clean. White. No black anywhere. Which meant I hadn't touched anything. Hadn't wiped my hands. Hadn't drunk from anything. Because the black would have smeared onto it. I got up and went to the table. The cloths I'd tied around the 2 carafes were exactly as I'd left them. White. Spotless. Not a smudge. Not a mark. Not one black fingerprint. I stood there not wanting to touch them. Then I untied the first string, my hands shaking so badly I could barely work the knot. And I lifted the cloth off. and I poured. Empty. I grabbed the second. Empty. Both of them. Drained to the glass. And my hands were still black, and the cloths were still perfectly clean, and the door was still locked from the inside. Dear God, I left for the big city right after. I couldn't stay in that house another night. July 12th. The big city. I've had my own mind back these last few days. Being here, in the noise and the crowds and the light, the whole thing at home seems impossible, like a fever dream. Yesterday I ran around the city doing what everyone does. Museums, restaurants, theater. And I decided, walking home, that the whole business at my house had to be some kind of nervous breakdown, unless I really was up in the night sleepwalking, doing things and not remembering. Because I have been under some strange influence, obviously a sick one, some disorder of the nerves. And it all started, I think, the night I couldn't stop staring at that empty carafe. July 14th. It was a national holiday. I walked the streets all evening. The fireworks and the crowds delighted me like a little kid. And still, how stupid it is really to be happy on a fixed date because the government has decided you will be. The public is a brainless herd, sometimes stupidly patient, sometimes suddenly savage. You say to it, have fun, and it has fun. You say, go fight the country next door, and it goes and fights. You say vote, and it votes. And the people steering it are just as stupid, except instead of obeying men, they obey ideas, which can be even emptier and more absurd and more wrong, because an idea can't be reasoned with. An idea can't think. I'm rambling in my own diary. But God, it's good to feel my mind working again. Clear, sharp, mine. July 16th. Something happened last night that has shaken me badly, and I have to write it down while I still remember every piece of it. I was having dinner at my cousin's, Madame Sablé. Her husband commands a regiment stationed here. There were 2 young women there as well, and the husband of one of them, a doctor parent, who specializes in nervous illnesses and in hypnotism. He spent a long time telling us about the things doctors were doing with hypnosis. The results, he said, were incredible and frightening. You could put a person under, and then you could take over their will completely, reach in and move them like a puppet, and they'd have no idea. I said I found it very hard to believe. We're standing, he said, right on the edge of one of the most important secrets in nature, one of its great secrets on this earth, because it has others, huge ones, out there among the stars. Ever since human beings could think, they've sensed that there was another world pressing right up against this one, an invisible one, and they've been terrified of it, and they've had no way to perceive it. So they filled the gap with imagination. They invented gods and spirits and fairies and ghosts, crude guesses at something real. And here's the thing you have to understand. Everything we think we know is basically wrong, because our senses are so weak and so few. 5 thin little senses, and we build our whole picture of reality out of them, and we call it the truth. I argued with him, so he offered to prove it, right there, by hypnotizing my cousin. She was curious. She agreed. He sat her down in an armchair and looked into her eyes and took her hands, and within a couple of minutes she was under, asleep, but not asleep. Her eyes were open. Her face was blank. I didn't like it. I watched closely. "Stand behind her chair," Dr. Parent told me. So I did, and he put an ordinary business card into her hands and said to her, "This is a mirror. What do you see in it?" She said, "I see my cousin." "What is he doing?" "He's twisting his mustache." "And now?" "He's taking a photograph out of his pocket." And it was true. Every word. Because I was, at that exact moment, taking a photograph out of my pocket. One I had never shown a single person. One I'd only just had taken, at my hotel. "What is in the photograph?" the doctor asked her. And she, staring into a blank white card, in a room where the actual photograph was hidden in my closed hand behind her head, she described it. Perfectly, down to the smallest detail. She described the pose, the background, everything. A photograph she had never seen, held in a hand she could not see, reflected in a card that was not a mirror. The other two women were terrified, but Dr. Parent just said, "That's enough," and woke her. And she remembered nothing. Nothing at all. I walked back to my hotel deeply shaken. But it was the next morning that finished me. Early, very early, Madame Sablé came to my hotel. She was pale, wound tight, desperate. She begged me to lend her 5,000 francs. Her husband, she said, had ordered her to raise the money, and she had to have it by noon. It was a strange amount and a stranger story, but she was family, and she was frantic, so I started to write the check. And then, to slow her down, I asked her to tell me exactly how it had happened, and she couldn't. She got tangled. She said her husband had written to her, then wasn't sure when the letter had come, then couldn't remember what it said. She got vaguer and vaguer, foggier, almost like a person talking in their sleep. And I understood. Dr. Parent had hypnotized her the night before, in front of all of us, and planted this in her. Go to your cousin, get 5,000 francs. And here she was, carrying it out to the letter, with no memory of the command and total certainty that the need was her own. So I tested it. I made an excuse. I said I couldn't get the money after all. And she, a proud woman, a dignified woman, fell apart. She begged. She wept. She pleaded with me like it was life and death, because she had been ordered to, and the order was stronger than her pride, stronger than her shame, stronger than her. Then Dr. Parent arrived and quietly released her from it, and she surfaced, blinking, embarrassed, with no idea why she was in my hotel room or what she'd been saying. He had reached into a grown woman's mind and planted a need that wasn't hers, and made her certain, the whole time, that it was. I've been turning it over all day and I can't put it down. Because if one man can plant a command in another person's head, an invisible hand reaching in and pulling the levers, then what am I ever really sure of? What in my own head is actually mine? Which of my thoughts did I think, and which were put there while I slept? July 19th. Several people I've told about all this just laughed at me. I don't know what to believe anymore. The wise man says, who knows? July 21st. I went out to a restaurant on the river to try to laugh the whole thing off. People, food, noise, the ordinary living world. It helped. I felt better. But is it settled? No. And here's what frightens me most. I know that the moment I go home, the fear will come home with me. Which means the fear is in me. I'm not running from a place. I'm carrying the thing that scares me around inside my own skin. If I could just stay away, never go back. I'd be fine. But I can't. I have to go home. July 30th. Home. Everything's calm. Everything's fine. August 2nd. Nothing for 4 days. The weather's beautiful. I spend my days by the river, watching the water go by. August 4th. The people who work in the house are fighting with each other. They say something is moving things at night, breaking glasses in the cupboards. I can't get a straight story out of anyone, but they're all on edge, all frightened, and they blame each other. One of them gave notice today and left. So am I on edge. So am I frightened. It isn't just me anymore. August 6th. This time I'm not insane. I saw it. I saw it. There's no doubt left. None. I saw it. I was walking in the garden, in full sun, down the row of rose bushes, and in front of me, on one of the bushes, one of the best roses, I watched the stem bend. All on its own, as if an invisible hand had closed around it and pulled it down. Then the stem broke, snapped clean, the way it snaps when a hand picks it. And then the rose lifted up into the air, following the exact curve an arm would make, lifting a flower toward a face. And it hung there, alone, in the clear, empty air. A single red spot, floating 3 feet in front of my staring eyes. I lunged for it. My hand closed on nothing. I dropped to my knees and searched the grass and never found it. It was gone. And then a fury came up in me, because a sane, serious man does not stand in his own garden and watch roses pick themselves. But was it a hallucination? I got up and went to the bush and found the branch. And there it was, the fresh, wet break on the stem, sitting right between 2 other roses still growing on the branch. There had been 3. Now there were 2, and I had watched the 3rd one leave. I went back into the house sick to my soul, because I understand now. There is something here, something I can't see, that drinks water and milk, that can reach out and touch a thing and take hold of it and lift it. Something with a body, real, present, even if my eyes are too weak to catch it. Living here in my house, with me. August 7th. I slept quietly. It drank the water from my carafe but let me sleep. And now the other fear. The worse one, maybe. I went into town today and bought books. Books on mental illness, on madness. I read all afternoon. And what I read didn't reassure me. It did the exact opposite. There are people, the books say, who show no sign of anything wrong at all. They talk clearly. They reason well. Better sometimes than healthy men. They can argue you into a corner. And they are completely, hopelessly insane, built around one single cracked idea that they defend with flawless, beautiful logic. Some hidden injury in the machinery of the brain, one bent gear deep inside, and the whole magnificent machine runs on, smooth and convincing and calm, straight off a cliff. So I sat there with the book in my lap, and I asked myself the only question that actually matters. How would I know? How does any man know that his own mind is sound? If the disease leaves the reasoning intact, if a madman can be certain and calm and completely convincing, even to himself, then my certainty proves nothing. My calm proves nothing. This clear, careful diary I'm keeping proves nothing. I could be one of them. I could be sitting in a locked, tidy little cell inside my own skull, writing all of this, and never once feel the walls. Is there a Horla? Or is there just a sick man in an empty house, building a beautiful, logical monster to explain the fact that he's coming apart? I don't know. That's the horror of it. I genuinely do not know. August 8th. Nothing last night. It's gone quiet again, but quiet is worse. When it feeds, at least I know where it is. When it's quiet, I feel it somewhere in the house, watching, waiting, deciding. August 9th. Nothing, but I feel it near, close. August 12th. Something happened tonight that I have to write down, because I don't understand it, and it frightens me more than anything so far. At 10 o'clock this evening, I decided to get in my carriage and drive into town, just to be around people, lights, life, anything. I got up to go, and I could not. I mean that exactly. I could not do it. Some force in me simply refused. I wanted to leave. I told myself clearly, stand up, walk to the door, get in the carriage, go, and my body would not obey. I sat there pinned to the chair, unable to rise, as if hands were holding my shoulders down, as if I were tied to it. I fought it for what felt like an hour, sweating, straining, and then, all at once, the force let go, and I stood up, free, and I ran for the door, and the door was locked, and the key gone. I had to search the whole room to find it, and by the time I had the door open and was standing outside in the cool night, the feeling had drained away completely, and there was no reason left to go anywhere at all. Something wanted me to stay in that room, and it kept me there. And then, when it was done, it let me go. August 13th. On the days it has hold of me, my whole body obeys it like a beaten animal. I want to go out. I'm made to sit. I want to sit. I'm made to walk. I want to be alone. I'm herded toward people. My will isn't mine anymore. I'm a passenger inside my own body, riding along, watching my hands do things I didn't choose. August 14th. I'm lost. Someone has taken possession of my mind and is running it from the inside. Someone gives the order for everything I do, every movement, every act, every thought. I am nothing now inside myself, just a terrified spectator, chained up, watching all the things my own body does without me. I want to go out. I can't. He doesn't want it. So I stay, shaking, sunk down in the chair he allows me to sit in. All I want is to stand up, to rise, to feel like a man again, to prove to myself that I'm still a man with a will of his own. But I can't. I'm chained to the chair, and the chair is chained to the floor, and no force on earth could lift me. And then, suddenly, without warning, I have to get up and go to the bottom of my garden and pick strawberries and eat them. So I go. I pick them. I eat them. Oh God, is there a God? If there is one, free me, save me, help me, forgive me, have mercy on me. I can't stand this. Help me. August 15th. This is exactly how my cousin was possessed that night, controlled from outside, made to want a thing that wasn't hers, and sure the whole time it was her own idea. She had taken in some strange will, and it had replaced hers. That's what's happening to me. August 16th. I got free today, for 2 hours. Like a prisoner who finds his cell door left open by mistake. I suddenly felt it lift, felt him somewhere far off, and I moved fast before he could come back. I ordered the carriage and I got myself into town, and I can't describe the joy, the pure animal joy, of saying to a man, "Take me to town," and having him obey, of being a person whose orders are followed instead of a body that follows orders. I went to the library and asked for the newspapers from Brazil, because weeks ago I'd read something, and it had lodged in me, and now I had to see it again. There'd been an outbreak in Brazil, a kind of madness spreading through a whole province. The people were fleeing, abandoning their homes, their villages, their crops, swearing they were being hunted, ridden, fed on. They said that some invisible thing, a living thing, had come among them, and that it entered their houses at night and crouched on them while they slept and drank their lives out of them, and drank water and milk and touched nothing else, a thing that gives no wound and leaves no mark, a kind of vampire. And wherever it appeared, madness came behind it, and people threw themselves out of their own minds trying to escape it. I read every word with a cold, dead hand, and then I remembered. I remembered that beautiful white Brazilian three-master that sailed up my river on the 8th of May, right past my house, right under my windows, coming up from Brazil. And I remembered how I stood up, some strange happiness rising in me for no reason, and saluted it, welcomed it, as if I knew, as if something aboard it had already reached across the water and touched me, and I was greeting it home. It saw my house from the river. It was white and beautiful, my house. And the thing came down off that ship and crossed the water and came ashore and walked home with me. Oh God, now I understand. Now I know. August 17th. I spent the whole night reading the old books, the old fears, everything human beings have ever written about spirits and the invisible. Fools, all of them. They circled this thing for thousands of years without once seeing it plainly. But I'm going to reason it out. Cold. Step by step. Like a proof. Because I am not mad. And I can still think. And thinking is the only weapon I have left. Start here. With how little we can actually sense. We have 5 senses. 5. That's all. 5 thin little windows onto everything that exists. And through those 5 cracks we've built our whole picture of reality. And we've had the arrogance to call it the world. But think about what those 5 senses miss. Our eyes. Our eyes can't see the very small. A whole universe of life swarms in a drop of water, and we'd never know it without a lens. They can't see the very far. They can't even see across the whole range of light. There's light above what we see, and light below it, and we're blind to all of it. Our ears catch a narrow little band of sound and miss everything above it and below it. There are noises shaking the air all around us this second that we will never hear. Our sense of touch can't feel what the air is made of. Our whole body is a poorly made instrument, deaf and half blind, and we walk around certain we perceive the world, when the truth is, we perceive almost none of it. So, if a being existed right beside me, right now, in this room, a being my 5 poor senses had no organ to catch, how would I ever know it was there? I wouldn't. I couldn't. My not seeing it proves nothing. I don't see anything. That's the whole point. That's the trap we've been in since the beginning. And here's the thing. Some part of us has always known. In every age, In every country, human beings have felt it. Felt something pressing up against the world, something just on the other side of the glass, and been terrified of it, and had no way to look at it. So they filled the gap with stories. They called it gods, spirits, demons, ghosts, angels, all those thousands of years of fear. I don't think it was superstition. I think it was evidence. Humanity kept sensing a real thing it couldn't perceive, and dressed the feeling up in whatever costume it had lying around. And I have proof now that a mind can be reached from outside it. I watched a man reach into my cousin's head and plant a command, and she carried it out certain it was her own idea. So don't tell me it's impossible for something to get inside a person and steer them. I've seen it done. By a man, in a drawing room, over dinner. So here is my conclusion, and it's cold, and it's simple, and it's the worst thing I've ever written. A new being has come. Of course one has. Why should we be the last? Why should creation have stopped with us, as if we were the finished product, the crown of everything, and nothing better could ever follow? Look at how badly we're made. Heavy, slow, clumsy. We need food and water and air and hours of sleep just to keep the machine running one more day. We break. We sicken. We rot. We die of almost anything. Nature made us, and nature has never once stopped improving on what it makes. So of course, one day, something better would arrive to do to us exactly what we did to everything beneath us. And now it has. The vulture ate the dove. The wolf ate the lamb. The lion ate the buffalo. Man killed the lion. And now the Horla will make of man what man made of the horse and the cow, his property, his slave, his food, just by the force of its will. That's the whole ladder, and we always thought we stood on the top rung. We don't. There's one more rung, and something is standing on it, looking down at us the way we look down at cattle in a field. The Horla. That's its name. I don't know how I know it, but that's what it's called. The word came into my head one night like it was whispered there. The Horla. Woe to us. The reign of man is over. And yet, sometimes the animal turns on the master who broke it. Sometimes the beaten thing rises up and kills the one who beat it. I want to turn. I will turn. But first I have to know it. Touch it. See it. The scientists say an animal's eye is built differently than ours, that it catches colors and shapes ours never will. And my eye can't catch this new thing that's crushing me. Why not? Because it's simply outside my 5 little windows, like the wind. The monk on the mountain said it, and I understand it completely now. Do we see even the 100,000th part of what exists? There's the wind, the strongest force in all of nature. It flattens cities and drowns ships and kills, and you have never once, in your whole life, seen it. August 18th. I've thought all day, and I've decided. I'm going to make it show itself. I'm going to draw it in close enough to touch, and then I'll have the strength of a desperate man. I'll have my hands, my knees, my chest, my teeth, and I will strangle it and crush it and tear it apart. August 19th. I'm going to kill it. I saw it. Last night I sat at my table and pretended to write, pretended to be completely absorbed in it, because I knew it would come, the way it always comes, and circle me, close, so close that maybe I could grab it. I'd lit both lamps and all 8 candles on the mantel, as if all that light could somehow force it into view. Across from me was my bed, old oak. To my right, the fireplace. To my left, the door, which I'd shut carefully after leaving it open a long time to draw the thing in. And behind me, a tall wardrobe with a mirror set in the door. The mirror I use every single day, to shave, to dress, to check myself head to toe every time I pass it. So I sat there and pretended to write, and I felt it. There, behind me, reading over my shoulder, right up against me, its presence brushing my ear. I stood up fast, both hands already reaching, and I turned so quickly I nearly went down. And you know how you can be in a pitch black room and not see a thing? That's what happened to me. Except the room was blazing with light. 2 lamps, 8 candles, everything lit. And I could not see myself in the mirror. It was bright, edge to edge, floor to ceiling, and it was empty. I was standing right in front of it, close enough to touch the glass, and there was no one in it. No face, no body. Just the lit, empty room behind where I should have been standing. I didn't move. I didn't dare. Because I understood what it meant, and my legs went to water underneath me. It was there, standing between me and the glass. Its clear, unseeable body was filling the space where my reflection should have been, blocking it, swallowing it, hiding me from myself. And then, slowly, I began to come back. Piece by piece, deep in the glass, I began to see myself again, but through a kind of haze, a shimmer, like looking at my own reflection through moving water. And the water seemed to slide, slowly, from left to right. And as it slid, more of me came clear, and sharper, and whole, like the end of an eclipse. Whatever had been hiding me had no clear edge. It had a sort of see-through outline, and it thinned and cleared as it stepped aside. I saw it. I saw the shape of the thing that's killing me, and I will not forget it, and I will not rest until I've destroyed it. August 20th. But how do you kill something you can't see, can't hold, can't corner? If it sleeps, maybe. If it sleeps, I might be able to. But it may not sleep. It may never sleep. Still, I have a plan now. September 10th. It's done. But is it dead? I don't know. My mind is still reeling from what I saw. Yesterday I had a locksmith come and fit iron shutters over the windows of my bedroom, the heavy kind some houses have here against burglars, and a matching iron door. A room I could seal completely. A box. Last night I sat quietly, the way I always do, pretending to read. And around midnight I felt it, there in the room, moving around me. So I got up slowly, keeping my face and my movements ordinary, careless, so it wouldn't suspect. I made a show of yawning. I made every sign of a man about to go to bed. And then I stepped through the iron door and slammed it shut behind me and locked it. The key was ready in my hand. It was inside, trapped, sealed into a room with iron over every window and iron across the only door. I laughed out loud. Then I moved fast and did the rest of what I'd prepared. Below that room, on the ground floor, I'd already stored what I needed. I locked the 2 lower doors. I went out into the garden, and I set the house on fire. I'd sent every drop of water away days before, anything that might be used to put it out. I walked back to the middle of my garden, and I stood there, and I watched. At first it was slow, a red glow behind the shutters. Then the whole ground floor caught at once, and the fire roared straight up through the house, and the beautiful old place where I was born, where my family lived and died for generations, went up into the black sky as one enormous, magnificent, terrible torch. And sealed inside it, in iron, was the thing, burning, I prayed, burning, dying at last in the flames. And then a scream came out of the top of the house, a human scream, then a second one, then more. The housekeeper, the cook. I had forgotten them. I saw them at a top floor window, their arms up, their faces screaming down at me for help. I had forgotten they slept up there. I had forgotten them completely. And it was too late. The whole lower house was fire. There was no stair left to climb, nothing to do, no way to reach them. They burned. They burned to death in the fire that I had lit, and their screaming is the sound I will hear for the rest of my life. The whole village came running. Everyone stood out in the red light and watched my house burn to the ground, watched it collapse into a bed of embers. And the entire time, one thought was beating in my skull, over and over. It's dead. It was sealed in iron. It burned with the house. It's dead. It has to be dead. Dead? Its body. Its clear, transparent body. The body that no fire touches the way fire touches ours. What if it wasn't dead? What if the one thing on this earth that can't be killed by anything that kills us? What if it only needs the dark and the night to go on? That see-through body, that unknown, unkillable body, the one living thing on the earth that we have no power over at all. What if fear and injury and fire and death, all the things that end us, simply don't reach it, simply pass through it, the way light passes through glass? It's not dead. I know it now. I stood there in the heat and the noise, and I knew it, all the way down. It's out there in the dark right now, patient, waiting for the flames to die. And it will come back, and it will finish what it started with me, the way it finished with those people in Brazil. So it isn't over. It was never going to be over. My house is gone. 2 people who trusted me and slept under my roof are gone, burned alive by my own hand. And the thing is still alive. There's only one door left now. Only one door it can't follow me through. I know what I have to do. There's only one way left to be free of it. I have to.